Hey guys, welcome back to Brick System Brothers. Nathan Masters here. I was looking back through some of our videos from the past month and realized I have not yet done the coverage of my haul from Bricks and Minifigs in Omaha. So yeah, Josh did get to his. He didn't have quite as many pieces, but that one went up on the channel about 3 weeks ago as of this recording, so probably longer now. But I did want to cover in a little bit more detail what I had bought. So remember, I did the Bricks and Minifigs kind of overview video, and I mentioned I had picked up a $40 bag. So that's what I'll be going through today. I also got a few minifig components and a Technic fig, but Josh is holding on to my Technic fig, so I don't have him today. And the minifig components are somewhere else. So this is just the parts. I had estimated about 1,000 in the bag, and if I had leaned towards the smaller pieces, I would have got about 1,000 pieces. But some of these larger molds ended up kind of displacing that volume, and so the final count from the bag was closer to 670 pieces. I think counting the minifigs and Technifig, I had exactly 700 from this haul. But just the pieces here today I wanted to look at. So I've already done the inventory for these, and at the end of the video I'll be looking at some of the highest value parts on Rebrickable. But just kind of an overview of everything that's already sorted into piece type. So up on the top here are some of the outliers that don't really have a good family to go in. So just kind of some of the random pieces. One of these large fan things. This is the kind of piece you want to look for when you're picking up stuff in bulk, because when you go by an average piece price, you know, this ends up being 3 cents. So on Bricklink, gonna cost you more. Some of the smaller pieces in here are worth about 3 cents, but when you average everything out, you end up with much more value. So that guy was in there, probably one of the biggest ones of everything. And then some of this other stuff right on top, kind of skim through. Just when I go to this kind of store, I look for things that you don't see every day, that you maybe could have only gotten in a couple of sets. So these are the more exclusive pieces that you don't necessarily find. In fact, one of the pieces I specifically mentioned were the green wheels. Ends up that they only come in one set back from the Aqua Raiders. So that set actually did have 3 wheels. It was kind of some kind of submarine. And so now if I wanted to build that set, I'd have a pretty good start with these specific color pieces that only were found in that one set. Alright, so now we're kind of down to the categories here. I guess try to work my way across one way or the other. Let's start with the good old basic bricks. Many different colors, and this kind of washed out blue is actually that teal that I was looking for. So yeah, teal was a pretty good bounty at this Bricks and Minifigs in Omaha. Most of it was coming from a couple of the Lego Movie 2 sets that had been broken down. And then some of these large dark red 2x bricks are from a Minecraft set. I think this one is still exclusive to that Minecraft set. So go ahead, and I went ahead and added those in. Like I was saying, kind of larger pieces, but start to get a little bit exclusive when you look at where these pieces were coming from to end up in a mix like this. The rest of it is just kind of some basic 1x's. I managed to find some trans neon orange. Where did it go? Transparent neon orange 1x2s. There's one of them right there. So those are the kind of ultraviolet glow pieces. So yeah, never hurts to pick up more stock of basic building 1x stuff. Underneath that are some more bulk pieces that I actually did end up putting in a bag. 2 castle pieces, a couple of large orange plates that I decided to get for some reason. So those larger plates end up being worth a little more, especially when somebody needs them in a specific color, so it doesn't hurt to pick them up. This interesting wedge, kind of a combination slope, is used in teal in the Ninjago City gardens that we got this year. So here's just a white one from the Sweet Mayhem Starship. And then kind of a hard piece to see down here in the bag is the cockpit base from Aqua Raiders, and kind of a monorail piece, but not the right color for the classic monorail. Still a nice piece to get. Should probably pull them out of the bag to look at it better, but that would make this video kind of long, and we're already 5 minutes in. Some slopes here, and other modified bricks. So the SNOT kind of bricks here, studs not on top for sideways building and stuff I like to grab. It just seems to me like you can never have too many of those. You get them in different colors, really opens up your possibilities for advanced building techniques. And once you have a couple different colors of these, that really opens up the different accents that you can do. Just thinking to something that I've done on the channel, the Meritobic on my spaceship video. The accents I want to use on there are red and azure, so kind of this color here. In order to do those accents effectively, I'm going to need to find enough pieces to work with the structure of the spaceship and also lend those colors kind of in an aesthetic way. So yeah, looking at pieces that I can pick up now at this kind of store where I'm buying by bulk, that will lend to creations in the future. Otherwise in here, some of these 2x4 roof slopes, if I get to more architectural or residential building, the black and the dark colors are especially helpful for that. So the dark red, if you want to have a dark red roof at some point on any decent sized house, you're going to need a lot of those slopes. I just try to stock up on these a little bit at a time, and by the end of a couple years, if I go to, if I get a couple every time I go to one of these stores, a hobby store or bricks and minifigs, pretty soon I've got 20 or so of them, and it's not so daunting. What's in this bag here? We've got some interesting different pieces. I was happy to see this chrome dish. It's not a 1x2 dish, it's actually kind of a headlight recession reflector. So that is an original chrome piece. Very nice to see those. It's probably worth $5 at least, just that one piece right there. So that's nicely balanced. And some other interesting parts in different colors. Your tan kind of laser cannon piece there. And then these exhaust vents, again another piece I used in that spaceship video. So some more larger pieces, but I think I'm still getting my money's worth. A couple of interesting ones down here, loose in the bottom. This printed slope that I hadn't seen before. Even if I don't know which sets these pieces came in, stuff like this that catches my eye, I just try to pick up, because you never know if it's something worth more, if it's kind of valuable, or if it's just something that you're happy to hang on to. Again, looking at my collection specifically, I like to have the diversity and kind of diversify my pieces, even going to vintage stuff, and really just trying to have a good range of different Lego pieces and not really bulk up on any one or two. And I think that's what really is helpful when you start doing a lot of mock building, just in terms of opening up possibilities and what you can do with a lot of different pieces. A pretty good size engine haul. Just actually talking about collecting a lot of one piece. In this case, yeah, the 3x3 kind of diameter, 3-stud diameter engines here. Something that I have recorded a HUTAP video for that will eventually be going up. I don't know if it already is, depending on when this gets scheduled. But yeah, HUTAP number 17, whether that's up now or will be shortly, was a specific look at this piece. So it was kind of fresh in my mind, and when I upgraded, because I had started at the smaller size bag, the $20 bag, which was a little less than half the volume. At first I wasn't grabbing these because I was trying to prioritize some other pieces. When I went ahead and upgraded to the $40 bag, I came back and just kind of loaded up on these engine pieces. And as we'll see in a minute, one of the better value deals that I ended up going for. The other thing in this bag is a 4x4 quarter panel in that transparent purple color from LEGO Movie 2 sets. Alright, we've got some tiles and paneling, windows, frames, that kind of thing in here. Yeah, nothing of major note, just a variety again. When I end up picking this kind of, diversified lot where I've only got a couple copies of each piece, sometimes only one or two of each piece, it definitely takes a lot more work to add in to this Rebrickable inventory, but again, looking at having that kind of diversity in the collection, to actually buy a set that has this kind of part diversity, or how many sets you'd have to buy to get to this level, for the same cost, it's not even close. This is just the most cost-effective way to kind of build up this range of Lego pieces. Even going back to some older stuff, so here's an old dark gray fence plate in the same bag with a very recent 2018 or 2019 turntable base that has a different kind of attachment. So, you know, something that would never be in the same set together, just looking at being outside of each other's production ranges, that's what you can pick up at hobby stores. That's what I like to go for. The last thing in the bin here is some wheels and Technic stuff, one of our spring-loaded soccer chairs, some of that older Technic, gears, a single ball socket construction joint, like Bionicle style piece in there. It caught my eye for some reason. A really old train wheel with that metal axle, a dual molded Bionicle sword thing, propellers. I think Josh had a few pieces similar to that. Yeah, and just trying to grab some smaller stuff as well to help average out the cost per piece. All right, so that's kind of it for the bin. Oh yeah, this guy right here. Josh spotted this and had asked me if I wanted it. This is an old 1x6. It's got the kind of different style of supports underneath there, where it has the cross supports instead of the tubes. Interestingly enough, it has alternating logos between the old and older, and then it also has a very faint transport print. So nice old 1x6. And of course, where would I be without my teal pieces? So as soon as we walked in the doors, I noticed this kind of on one of the parts tables. Definitely had more teal than the others. I don't know why I'm drawn to the teal colors. Probably because this has been one of the only colors that was retired and then brought back. I'd really like to see them do the same with sand red. I think sand red has a lot of potential as a color for adding accents and realism, but sand red nowhere in sight. So teal was brought back in 2018, I think, after going out of production in 2006. Somewhere in there, might be a year or two off, but yeah, I just love to see teal coming back as a color in the Lego palette. I think that they realized how much potential it had as an accent color, or even as a base color, like in our vintage car gift with purchase, that it can be used to many different themes and be used as a color for that kind of thing. So somewhere right in between our greens and our blues, two Lego colors that actually have quite a few different hues within. You know, you think about different colors of blue Lego. You've got your really light stuff, you got sand blues, more of a gray, some really dark blues and deep blues, and then our classic regular blue. So yeah, even though we have plenty of blue, different kinds of blue colored pieces, and even with our greens, several different kind of green shades, somewhere in between there was kind of a gap in the color range, and so teal has been brought back to fill that gap. Some of the pieces actually going back to the 2002 production in Rock Raiders. So this slope here, 2x2x3, would have been from one or two sets. Is not in current production in that color, but also a couple of pieces that have been molded now in teal that weren't available in those earlier sets. So again, looking at a range here that you absolutely cannot buy. Even if you bought a combination of 4 or 5 different sets, you wouldn't even come close to this kind of range of pieces that you can get at a hobby store. And I've said it multiple times, I'll say it again, places like that with just a brick wall or a brick bucket or a brick table, one of my absolute favorite places to get used Lego, just for the variety. It's usually somewhat cost effective. It's not quite cost effective as going online and buying bulk Lego, but when you go to that situation, it can be hard to know what you're going to get. When you go to a hobby store, you can actually hand select every piece, and that's what I've done when I go to places like Bricks and Minifigs, JCD and Hobby. Actually another store that hasn't been featured on the channel because it had to close, unfortunately. So I'll be talking about that a lot whenever I talk about hobby store hauls, because that's what is very important to me. So if you've kind of been ignoring my rambling and looking through here this whole time, that's fine. I probably wasn't going to go into much detail about these teal pieces, but I did want to show that yes, I was successful in finding some teal. Some of the highest quantity actually ended up being this piece, which I recently picked up in quantity from a Lego store, Pick a Brick Wall in black. So now I have the black and the teal. Not quite as many of these in teal now, but an interesting part to have. And when I say in quantity, I just mean, you know, I was able to find a lot of them. So like 13 of these maybe, and then almost 30 1x2 plates in teal. Pieces that might not be as easy to find on the secondary market or even in sets. As this color starts to become more prevalent and coming back into products, that might change over the years, but at this point we're only a couple years into the re-release of teal, so these kind of pieces are nice to have. Alright, so that's kind of overview, I guess. I didn't go into a lot of detail. Just in terms of what's valuable in this lot, like I said, I've got an inventory built up on Rebrickable, and I'll look at the top 10 pieces now. Now I've talked about making parts lists on Rebrickable in detail before, and kind of the reason I made those videos was so that when I got to this point in haul videos, I could just kind of talk about the pieces themselves instead of focusing on why the prices seem ridiculously high. So if that's kind of new to you, I would suggest go back, maybe watch where I discuss that in detail, actually running some Excel analysis. Just wanted to cover top 10 from this haul. Number 1 is going to be the number 17 Old Torso from 1975, 1976. A couple years before they introduced the actual minifig, they made these kind of proto minifigs that just had a hint of a shoulder there, the underside completely hollow, and instead of a neck, taller neck piece, it actually just had a stud. So a very interesting part that will be found in some inventories from those sets just in that 2 or 3 year range when they were producing these early figs. So definitely worth a higher price point. I don't know about $56, but if you've got one of these in good condition, that's maybe a $5 or $10 piece. The next one below that, number 2, is the 30360 3x3 engine, kind of brick almost. It's definitely rounded, but it's kind of a blocky feel. Now this is close to $30 here on Rebrickable. I did a little bit of digging and found out that there is a very well done Star Wars Star Destroyer mock that uses 8 of these. So if people are buying instructions and buying pieces to build the Star Destroyer, that's kind of going to burn through the available inventory of these on the secondary market. Therefore, higher demand drives up the cost. So this $30 is actually probably a better estimate than this one of $50. This should probably be in spot number 1. It's probably still not worth $30, but maybe in good condition, a $15 piece right here. In used condition like I have, I could probably get 5 a piece at the right time, just depending on how many people are looking for this element. I ended up with 4 of these, so that does multiply out as well. That's very nice. Like I said, ended up choosing a good part to kind of max out if I was going for one or the other. Number 3 is the Trans Neon Orange, not orange, Trans Neon Yellow canopy, or Trans Neon Green, I guess. Kind of a Sea Raiders or Aqua Raiders piece. Was only in a couple sets. Here valued at $20. Of course, this is assuming new condition. Mine in used condition would probably be worth $4 or $5. A nice piece for number 3. Number 4 is that early train kind of front section with the compound slopes and angles on here. Valued at $16.44 in new condition. My used one's probably worth about $5 again. So a nice group of $5 to $10 pieces to kind of start it off. Number 5 is this teal 6134 angle bracket, kind of something that's on a hinge here, so you can put stuff on a slope. The reason this one is worth more is because of its color. A rare color here being only in 2 sets from before the hiatus of the teal color, so probably an early 2000s, 2002 or 2003 piece right here. Probably not $16 for a used one, probably not even $16 for a new one, but definitely a piece that I'm glad to have. If I do end up needing it, would much rather have that coming in at bulk pricing than buying that from Bricklink. Number 6 is my chrome dish that I mentioned, kind of the reflector dish there. used one, like I said, about $5 to $6 or $7. This one here in new condition, actually probably not too far off. $10 to $13 valuation for one of these pieces. If someone on Bricklink is desperate, they'd probably pay that much for a new one of these. I don't know if I'd see that going for a used price at that high, but a nice piece to have. Not really rare. It was in a couple of different sets, but that chrome finish on there, pretty desirable for the people that want it. Number 7 is the 4474 4x6 canopy in all black. Must have only been in 3 sets there, so that's kind of the cutoff for what Rebrickable considers to be a rare piece. Here valued at $12.13 new. Mine is probably $3 or $4 used. Number 8 is 4070 headlight brick. This was our HuTap number 2. Just looking at the different things you can do with this piece because it has that slight indentation. I found one in trans orange, so I used one of those, probably about $1. Here, the new one valued at $10, definitely overpriced by probably 200%. So a nice piece to have, but not worth quite that much. Number 9 is the 6032 kind of offset octagonal 2 high brick, where it's just kind of that angular piping structure from the Sea Raiders and Aqua Raiders theme. Used one, maybe $2 or $3. No, probably not even that. Probably under $1. I don't know why this is so high. The number 10 piece here, to kind of look at in detail before I do a little bit of scrolling, is the 2350 crane arm in dark gray. A rare color here. I think this was only in one set, so I managed to snag this piece in the bulk lot. And depending on if someone really wants to complete this one set that it comes in, I could probably get about $4 or $5 for it. So everything else here, this is arranged in order of price, so kind of a mismatch. Let's go ahead and sort it by part. So that's where I like bringing pieces into a digital inventory. It does kind of display it very nicely and get an overall big picture view of what I picked up. Of course, you can do this with the physical pieces as well. It just takes some time to get them lined up. And I'd rather just kind of have it in this format where I can actually export this list and bring it back in at a later date. And also, just make a very nice looking PDF for my inventory. So everything else here is pretty much what we already looked at, just in terms of what is brackets, what is bricks. I did have this nice 1x2 with the printed yellow error. There's my 1x6 old. Some of the other ones here just to go through quickly. A 2x2 kind of racer body there. That jet engine turbine, a gold ingot. Here's some of the minifig parts that I ended up with, that head and that brown hair. These 1x2 plates with the rounded corner. Starting to pick up those when I see them, now that this has been kind of working its way into secondhand markets. And printed slope, a couple of those here with the underwater theme. There's my nice teal. Not quite enough to put it in the top 10, but definitely up there in the valuation. Sand green bases. Those were actually in a different bin, didn't look at those. There's the Technic fig that I ended up with, so they didn't have a price for him. And some of the tiles here. This 2x2 bracket with the centerpiece, that is an interesting one. And also the 30149. This has been in our HuTap too. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. But the vehicle base 6x5x2 with those seats. A nice piece to work with once you figure out how to use it. The trans green flame element, and then we're down to the wheels and windshields. So that's kind of the overview on Rebrickable. And like I said, I do put in the effort to build these up just so that I can have an inventory on hand to look at. If someday I'm wondering where I got some of these teal pieces, I can come back and see. And it's also a good way to double check my piece counts and to have an actual file that I can open up instead of trying to piece things together from pictures. Everything is digital here. So those prices are definitely overblown, but even if you cut all that in half, definitely got my money's worth here at this hobby store haul. Bricks and Minifigs in Omaha, $40 bag for all of this, about 700 pieces all said and done. Definitely could have got more if I went with the smaller size parts, but I'm pretty happy with my selections. And this is ready to get sorted into my main collection once I get it all back to home base. So yeah, the teal run was a success, and I'll be on the lookout for more bricks and minifigs. Kind of as I do my work trip here. That's really the only one within our home area that's worth driving to. It's about a 2-hour drive to get there. So Josh has been twice now, and this was my first trip. And I will be back eventually, but I feel like I need to give him some time to restock because I definitely cleaned out a lot of the good parts. In my opinion anyway, and that's the beauty of it, is different people are after different things at these stores, so it's not like I've taken all the good stuff, because the good stuff to you isn't necessarily the good stuff to me. But definitely want to give them some time to get a different mix of pieces in there before I go back and find what I'm looking for at Bricks and Minifigs in Omaha. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time on Brick System Brothers.